Keir Starmer is one of the most criticized political leaders in the entire United Kingdom. Every time the Prime Minister faces public humiliation, it becomes a captivating spectacle. Usually, he doesn't need anyone else's help to achieve it, as he often exposes himself in his interviews or speeches. However, this time he has been ridiculed in the worst possible way, and we'll explore the details in this video. Before we continue, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel to join our growing community. Yesterday, as we all know, thousands of Britons gathered at Downing Street to protest against what they see as a tyrannical Labour government led by Starmer. Since taking power, Starmer has been at odds with British citizens, labeling those who express love and concern for their country as extremists. This leader has attempted to suppress freedom of speech and imprison those who peacefully stand against his administration. Before the demonstration, Starmer and the media aligned with him expected riots, hoping that someone would lose control to justify their narrative of extremism. However, the tens of thousands of citizens who gathered did so peacefully, enjoying an afternoon of national celebration in the streets of London. During their march towards Downing Street, the protesters made their discontent with Starmer clear. They projected documentaries that revealed the truth about last summer's riots and exposed Starmer's agenda, debunking all his lies and manipulations aimed at British patriots. The entire world witnessed this event, and international reactions have been shocking, exposing the oppressive nature of this Labour government. It seems the UK is waking up to the reality of what it means to have Starmer in power. What do you think about what happened yesterday? Do you believe Starmer will take note of this massive protest? Share your thoughts in the comments. In other news, a major eco-donor of the Labour Party has launched a fierce critique against wealthy Britons who threatened to leave the country over the tax hike proposed by Rachel Reeves's budget, expected to be harsh on the richest. This billionaire businessman, known for supporting the activist group Stop the Oil, has lashed out at those complaining about tax policies, calling their arguments absurd. The businessman stated that if people only live in the UK because of low tax rates, they should reconsider their residency. With fears of a talent exodus and an increasing brain drain, many predict that wealthy residents will move to countries with lower taxes, leaving an economic gap in the country. As Reeves considers closing tax loopholes and extending the freeze on tax thresholds, the business community is on high alert. Meanwhile, in a recent public statement, the Prince of Wales has addressed the housing crisis in the UK in a documentary showcasing his commitment to the cause. Inspired by visits to shelters with his mother, Princess Diana, when he was a child, Prince William has pledged to end this social issue. In this documentary series, the first year of his initiative is highlighted, aiming to prevent homelessness in the country's most affected areas. William expressed a deep sense of responsibility, ensuring that he doesn't just want to talk about the issue but take real action. He also mentioned his brother, Prince Harry, in a gesture some consider an attempt at reconciliation. William, who recalls his first visit to a shelter at the age of 11, explained how his mother instilled in him the importance of helping the less fortunate. The series also shows how the prince plans to pass these values on to his own children, talking to them about the issue as he takes them to school. These statements mark a significant moment for the prince, who seeks to follow in his mother's legacy while preparing to take on greater responsibilities in the future. What are your thoughts on William's actions regarding this social issue? Let us know your opinion in the comments, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more content related to British current affairs. Starmer has continued to lose support not only among ordinary people, but also among those who once backed him. With each public appearance, his ability to disconnect with voters becomes more evident. While he tries to label any opposition as extremist, the reality is that distrust in his leadership is growing. His policies, aimed at restricting freedom of speech and undermining the rights of dissenting citizens, have only worsened the situation. In recent weeks, we have seen thousands of Britons take to the streets to show their discontent. Starmer, in an attempt to divert attention from the real issues, has resorted to distraction tactics, labeling these protesters as troublesome. However, most of these marches have been peaceful, demonstrating that people are seeking real change, not chaos. At a recent protest, organizers emphasized the importance of national unity and defending fundamental freedoms. Several speakers delivered powerful messages that contrasted with the government-aligned media's narrative, which seeks to portray these movements as radical. The images and testimonies captured at these events have resonated not only in the UK, but around the world. Pressure on the Labour government is mounting, and Starmer seems to have no response beyond attacking his critics. Instead of addressing the population's demands, he continues to push for unpopular policies, such as new tax restrictions that directly affect working families and small businesses. As the new round of taxes approaches, more and more voices are rising to denounce what they see as an abuse of power. Some of the country's biggest business leaders have already started taking measures to protect their assets, while others are looking to relocate their businesses abroad in search of a more favorable tax environment. Meanwhile, prominent figures in politics and industry have pointed out that these policies only breed distrust and uncertainty in the national economy. The talent drain and loss of investment could have serious consequences in the coming years, but it seems the government continues to ignore these warnings. At the same time, Prince William has taken a different approach, focusing on critical social issues like homelessness. In his latest project, he has shown a genuine commitment to this cause, something many citizens have appreciated in contrast to Starmer's priorities. William has made it clear that he wants to continue his mother, Princess Diana's legacy, and use his position to make a real impact on people's lives. In the documentary he features in, William shares his vision and personal experience, trying to raise awareness in society and promote long-term solutions. His message has been well received by many who are seeking a more authentic and committed form of leadership. As the divide between the public and the Labour government widens, the question is, how much longer can Starmer ignore the people's demands? Do you agree with the recent protests, or do you think the government should take a more authoritarian approach to maintain control? Let us know in the comments, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep receiving updates on the situation in the UK. Since taking the leadership of the Labour Party, Starmer has tried to present an image of stability and renewal. However, his actions demonstrate the opposite, a policy of repression and control instead of one of positive change. Discontent among ordinary people continues to grow, as reflected in the massive protests that have shaken the streets of London in recent months. Starmer's accusations against those who oppose his policies have only served to further divide the country. Labeling concerned citizens as radical elements is an attempt to silence any criticism, a strategy evident in his recent public statements and interviews, where he consistently attacks the very citizens he should represent. In an effort to consolidate his control, Starmer has pushed laws aimed at restricting freedom of expression on social media and in the streets, generating even more controversy. The international community is watching closely how these policies impact one of the countries historically proud of its freedom of speech and human rights. The narrative from Labour Party-aligned media is clear. They attempt to discredit any opponent by labeling them as an enemy of democracy. However, the reality is that thousands of people are coming together in peaceful marches, expressing their right to protest and demanding real change in the government's policies. Meanwhile, some influential figures in the British economy have begun criticizing the Labour government's tax proposals. The recent suggestion to increase taxes on the wealthy has sparked fierce debate among business leaders. Many warn that these measures will only serve to deter foreign investment and worsen the economic crisis already affecting the country. Starmer's response to these criticisms has been unconvincing, resorting to populist rhetoric in an attempt to appeal to the working classes while continuing to ignore the legitimate concerns of the business community. As the new fiscal cycle approaches, economists warn of the risk of a recession if the government persists with its tax policies. On the other hand, public figures like Prince William continue to stand out for their work on social causes. In his recent appearances, he has emphasized the importance of addressing housing and poverty issues, problems that have intensified under the current administration. His proactive approach and personal commitment to these causes have been well received by much of the public, in contrast to the perceived indifference of Starmer and his team.